course, we're also live streaming on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Just look up the Mark Hoke Show, and we'll get you rolling there too. Hop in the comment boxes. Maybe you've got a question for our new guest. Never had him on the show before, but I am very excited to have this guy here. He is the War Master, the mastermind of Bloodsport. Josh Barnett is in the house. Josh, welcome to the show.
Howdy.
Welcome. By the way, I know it was a little while ago, but your match that you had up at with AEW up in Seattle, I was there. By the way, great job with you and Claudio. That was terrific.
Thank you. I generally try not to get too much into. I'm going to pop some headphones in. I generally get too much into the weeds about how we do these things, but that's wrestling without scripting a match. Like, there was nothing really planned. We just wrestled, which is, in my opinion, a lost art.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, everybody's got this so planned out from the beginning. It's crazy. And it used to be everybody just hopped in the ring and called a match and had a good time for 20 to 30 minutes, and that was it. So
yeah,
absolutely. Well, of course, Josh, you have been beating people up for a very, very long time, even since you were a kid. And Bloodsport is really starting to catch on with everybody. You were youngest UFC champ of all time, and have been fighting MMA and just doing everything, man. I can't imagine what you put your body through. I mean, this is one hell of a career that you've had.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily been very kind to the physical side of things. I still have my mental faculties most days, but yeah, I mean, it takes its toll. But I never got into athletics thinking that I would get out of it in one piece necessarily. And there's people that have had it a whole lot worse than me. So it's a sacrifice that you just got to be willing to take.
Yeah, and of course, with so many different mixed martial arts, what are some of your favorite disciplines that you like to work with?
Well, I mean, I think catch wrestling is really the thing that I enjoy the most. But other than that, I've always been a big fan of boxing, just as a sport and as an art, and Muay Thai. But I guess another one that could surprise people is that I have a yellow glove in Savate, although my flexibility isn't really where it used to be. But I trained pretty diligently in Savate, and I love the idea of a kickboxing style that I like to refer to it as like the Floyd Mayweather of kickboxing, where it's more like touch and don't get touched, versus Muay Thai, which is often about more precise counters, but by taking, blocking, returning. And while there are definitely some Thai boxers that are incredibly hard to hit, a lot of them are very much like straight up. And I saw Savate as sort of the opposite of that, which fun in its way. I mean, I love all the serious combat sports, but I think because wrestling was what I started with, and then catch wrestling, and those are the things I enjoy most.
So all this love of different mixed martial arts and wrestling and so on has now manifested itself in Bloodsport. And tell everybody a little bit about how the idea came about to start doing the Bloodsport series.
Well, they did an initial show with Matt Riddle, and I was asked to be a part of that one, but it just didn't work out date-wise. And after that show was done, I think that was a WrestleMania week show of all things, then once Matt Riddle got picked up and signed by the WWE, excuse me, they came to me and they said, "Hey, look, would you want to be the guy who's the the name above title on this thing?" And I said, "Yes. However, if it's my show, then it's got to be my show. I got to book it, agent it, produce it. Like everything has to change because that first show was awful and nobody knew what they were doing. So and not to belittle or talk badly about anyone, but this isn't a style that people really know how to do in the States for the most part. It wasn't a pathway that existed. It wasn't something that people were trained to do. And there weren't shows where it was being done so that people could get the reps in the ring either. So, no fault of all those from that. initial Bloodsport experiment, but I said, yeah, this there's no way my show is going to be completely different. And from my first show in Jersey City, moving forward, you could see it was nothing alike the first one, other than the fact of a similarity in look and in terms of the rules. The ring didn't have ropes, but I've taken this from what I would call a gimmick into like a full-fledged, thought out, planned, and serious structured event.
So tell everybody that is listening that may not be familiar with Bloodsport, what is the difference between going to a Bloodsport card and seeing what you're doing as opposed to going to a regular wrestling card?
I think the easiest way to describe it is it's raw and it's stripped down. Like all the other stuff about wrestling, all the typical entrances, all the general like approaches, and the fighting, sometimes weapons becoming involved. That's all gone. Like all that is removed. The only thing that is there is just wrestling. And while our rule set has stripped it down to where there are no pinfalls, it's just the rawest form of wrestling I can think of. So it's just total basics, but you're not going to see patterns that you see in other wrestling either. Finish could happen at any time. You don't know who's going to win with what, how, whatever. I mean, if you're not paying attention, you've missed it. And a match can end in 30 seconds or 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I remember starting to see the popularity of this building, and one thing that's been incredibly fascinating is that the people that you guys have gotten involved in this, because there are so many professional wrestlers that have martial arts backgrounds, and it's given them a chance to show them off a little bit and do some different things that they normally haven't done. I mean, your last main event, you were just in there with MVP, and that was a wild one, by the way. I got to watch that. But coming up here on the 17th with at the Palms, you've got Natty Neidhart in here, Pete Dunne, Timothy Thatcher, Layla Hirsch, Charlie Dempsey, Karrion Kross is going to be in there, Zack Sabre Jr. and Jonathan Gresham. I don't know how that match will ever end because I think they're going to just twist each other up and never be able to move. But Shayna Baszler's back, Royce Isaacs. I mean, this is going to be an unbelievable show.
That's the goal, to put matches together that you would only find here. Put matches together where two wrestlers that may have competed against each other before in other rings can do something in a way that you'll never find anywhere else. And and then there's things like Shinya Aoki versus Charlie Dempsey. There's other matchups we could have made, but you can't get that matchup anywhere but here. That is the matchup I could have made Gresham and Dempsey, or I could have made Zack Sabre Jr. and Shinya Aoki, whatever. But these matches could all happen in Japan or in America. I mean, that could all be put together by somebody else. But you can't have Charlie Dempsey in the same ring as Shinya Aoki anywhere in the world, but in this place, because it's not going to happen in WWE or NXT. Charlie's not going to be over in DDT. It's going to be here.
Do these guys come to you now and say, "Man, I want to be a part of this"? I mean, is this easy to book?
They've been doing that since the first show. I have so many wrestlers that approach me that I don't even necessarily have a spot for, or the opportunity to book them at any given time. And then I have a lot of people that they just want to be a part of it because they think it as an opportunity to really raise their status. And I just don't have enough spots for everyone, but we do our best to try and make the most out of it.
And we're on the Mark Hoke Show with Josh Barnett, and Bloodsport is going to be here in Las Vegas coming up WrestleMania week. It's going to be an awesome time. Stu Myrick, I know you had a question for Josh.
Yeah, Josh, Stu Myrick here in Austin. I want to ask you, so this is the 13th edition of Bloodsport on WrestleMania weekend, and this has become one of the events that has been a highlight of WrestleMania weekend, especially for fans. Has the fan popularity has that surprised you in any aspect of it?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't mean this in a negative way. I don't book for the fans, so to speak. I don't I don't look at what they have to, a lot of times a matchup gets put out there and all over Twitter's like, oh yeah, that was my match. Oh, my dream came true. Or, you could thank me for this. And it's like, no, I never listened to you. I don't, this was booked before you had any thought about this in your head. But that's not to be derisive. That's to say, like, well, I'm glad that you are churning away and having these discussions. I'm glad that whether you're misguided or not, put it out there in the world, like create the dialogue. Hopefully it doesn't become negative and people aren't just like attacking you, which is also why I never go out there and, try to tell somebody like, oh, you didn't book this, or I want you guys to be engaged. But I don't believe you can successfully book anything if you are trying to book what the fans want, because that's too slow. That's reactive. And if you're doing that, you're not in the lead. And if you're trying to produce something, you need to actually be either trying to figure out what they want before they want it, or tell them that they want something else. Like you need to be the one in charge. Otherwise, you're not going to make anything worth a damn. And I'm not surprised that I've managed to have the response that I have. I wouldn't be lying if I said I am surprised at the support from the WWE with their wrestlers on this show, which I very much appreciate. But it's also in the same vein where nobody forces me to do anything. I book the matches how I book them, and if I didn't want to book them that way, or if something was a conflict or what I saw as my vision, then it wouldn't be put together. It's as simple as that.
Coach Rosie, you have a question for Josh Barnett.
Yeah, nice to meet you, War Master. Going into booking these types of matches with the talent having so much experience in so many different varieties of fighting, what is the difference between booking a professional wrestling match and booking a blood sport match?
Really not much. If you see pro wrestling the way I do, as you have MMA on one side and pro wrestling on the other, it's shooting or working either way. And it's just, there's one coin and two sides. So for me, I just try to steer the wrestlers towards certain cues and concepts. That's really it. And, if you're not out there trying to win, then you're not doing the right thing. It's as simple as that. Don't less is more. Doesn't always have to be slow. Doesn't always have to be fast. Trust your gut, but and audible when you need to. But really, don't go out there and put together a whole bunch of choreography. And a number one, don't slap anything unless it's their face.
One person that I want to ask you about who's been heavily involved in this, that I'm a big fan of, and I don't think that she gets the respect that she deserves, is Shayna Baszler. And I mean, I have absolutely been enamored with her performances from NXT on up. And, WWE for some reason put the brakes on her a while back. But she is one fascinating individual to me and just so talented. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with Shayna and how you feel about her as a professional.
It's very easy to work with Shayna. I've been her head coach for almost the entirety of her MMA career, and I am the guy who trained her and got her into pro wrestling and have been managing her as a pro wrestler from the very get. So for me, it's the easiest person to work with is Shayna. I just put her out there, and they have very little that I have to adjust with her. And by having Bloodsport, it's a place where she can just totally be as free as she wants to.
Yeah, she is incredible. So, once again, we've got Bloodsport 13 coming up on the 17th at 8 p.m. at the Pearl Theater at the Palms, which is an unbelievable venue. You're going to have a great time down there. And this card is so awesome. And you mentioned about the WWE stars being part of this show and the cooperation that you're getting from them. I mean, I think it's fantastic that WWE has been willing to let them come and do this show with you.
Yeah, me too. I feel like it's often maybe it's not understood, and it is overlooked that every athlete that is a WWE contracted wrestler is somebody that carries with them a massive price tag in terms of the investment that's been put into them. And to allow me to use that investment in my show is a big, it's a big example of the trust that they have in me, of the value of the show, and the trust they have in the wrestler themselves. So it is no small thing. Although often it's so very easily for fans to look at it and be like, well, why don't they just let this guy do this and do that and just well, they put probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to $1 million behind this person, and that's one of everybody on the roster. So if that person should get hurt or who knows what, that could be a huge problem for them. And it's really, I just feel that I'm quite fortunate that what I do has attracted their attention, but it's relationships that have been developed over time, and that's why it is. That's why it happens. And I'm not forced to take any bookings. I don't have to book anybody if I don't want to. And I know what if there's any particular wants or needs or anything around any wrestlers, I either accept that or I don't, and that's that.
Well, Natty Neidhart's coming down too, and of course, legendary from the Heart Dungeon, and she's really taken over that. How much fun is that going to be to have Natty on this show and let her go at it?
Oh, it's great. It's Natty is somebody that's been coming around the gyms that I've been at for well over a decade, and I've worked with Natty for a long time. We go back. We go a long way back. We're close. I'm also through my relationship with training and being a coach of Harry Smith for so long. Having a heart as a part of this is just a really natural fit.
And of course, Karrion Kross is going to be there too. It should be a pretty popular draw here in Las Vegas. I can imagine he's pretty psyched about getting a shot at this too.
Well, yeah, and he's one of my day one guys. I've known Kross for quite a long time. We've always been good buds, and I've always had a lot of belief in him. So he was a part of Bloodsport 1, 2, then he got picked up, and to have him come back around and to be here during WrestleMania week, it's just a natural fit.
So where do you want to see all this go when it's said and done? Because it's growing, and like I said, it caught my attention a while back that I was just fascinated to see a different style going on and something really exciting like this. What's the end goal for you, Josh Barnett?
Well, I think to build it into a product that has some international shows throughout the year, about 4 national shows, and I would like it so that WrestleMania week would be maybe the big culmination of a year, not a calendar year, but a year from each show during WrestleMania week, where we have like a giant one night tournament. That's what I would like to have. But we haven't got there yet. And honestly, making it in indie wrestling is incredibly difficult. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome, and we're just going to keep pushing forward. And I have some ideas on ways to generate some more capital and be able to try and put these things together. But hell, I mean, we could use honestly more staff in this fashion too. It's a lot to do, especially when people like myself and Brett Lauderdale have such full dance cards as we do.
Well, I'm available. Give me a call. I'm always free to help out. So I will take a paycheck anytime, my friend. But yeah, this is going to be an incredibly exciting night for everybody during WrestleMania week. And I hope everybody will take the time to get their tickets and get over there to the Palms. Like I said, terrific place to watch this, and it is going to be a fascinating show. Stu, did you have any more questions for Josh?
No, just Josh, just promote, tell everybody, promote it. How do you get tickets? Will it be available on to stream? Just promote the show, please.
Yeah, it'll be available on Triller Plus. And there's a lot of ways at which you could get an opportunity to watch us. They often give out free weekly trials, so you could watch a show for free potentially. You can get tickets at Ticketmaster. We have to use Ticketmaster with the Palms, which was much to my dismay. I know the the fee structure and all that kind of crap. It's just absolutely brutal. So we, but understand that when you do buy a ticket or you actually go to Triller, whether you fully subscribe to Triller Plus or any of these things, like you're making it so that we can keep going. We can bring in more wrestlers. We can do more shows, more production. We can up the game and up the level. And we want this thing to grow, but we need the help of the fan base to do it. You can see all the different announcements on the internet. We're putting them out there. We still have at least one more match to announce, so keep your eyes peeled for what that's going to be. And April 17th, Thursday, 8 p.m. at the Palms. It should be a hell of a night, and this could arguably be the biggest Bloodsport show to date.
No, we can't wait for it here in Las Vegas. It's going to be an awesome time. I believe Coach Rosie and I are planning on
We'll be there,
checking it out. So and if we're coming, everybody else should come too, because it's going to be awesome.
I agree.
All right. So, and of course, if you want to follow the War Master, it's at Josh L. Barnett on X. And we want to wish you all the best for your Bloodsport 13 show. Once again, that is at 8 p.m. on the 17th at the Palms in the Pearl Theater. Josh, thanks for coming on, man. I'm honored to get to finally talk to you, and wish you all the best with the show.
My pleasure. We just had Victor Henry win at UFC Fight Night last night. So, doing quite well for ourselves.
There you go. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, and we'll see you on the 17th, sir.
Right on. Thank you.
All right. There you go, everybody. Josh Barnett from Coach, you all right?
Yeah, I'm getting emotional, because I think I can take them. I just had a premonition that the match that's going to be announced is me against Barnett in the main event of Bloodsport. No,
you're a dead man. Shut up. Shut up, Coach Rosie.
Coach, just don't, please.
You will be knocked out in 15 seconds. Well, I'll give you 20 because that's right. You hurt your foot, so you can't move very well.
Yeah,
you're a dead man.